Morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to the HewCast, and I'm so happy and delighted to have Carla with me. And Carla is the amazing manager of Haringey Borough Women's Football Club. Have I got that
Yep,
right?
you have, yeah.
And I've been fortunate to work with Carla in our corporate lives, but in terms of actually football, this is something we have a lot of commonality in, and it's really nice to just have an opportunity to talk about football and business in the same context. So yeah, how's it going? How's the football season for you? Because I mean, I guess Haringey, there's not much going on with the social distancing and corona and stuff like that. How's women's football for you?
So thank you, Vanessa, for having me on your show. So I guess, so actually we've been really busy and the season is starting on the 13th of September, so very soon now. But as a team, we've been coming together quite a lot, even throughout lockdown. But there is so many guidelines and regulations that we need to or guiding principles we need to follow. And having our own club is a blessing, but it means there are so many other things that we have to have in place before we're allowed to have staff and all my staff are volunteers, including myself, all of my players back. There's so many things, and we have to make sure are in place. We have to separate exits, separate changing rooms, no changing rooms, then you can have changing rooms, need toilet facilities. You know, we're solely funded by voluntary donations, so for us, you know, it's on the goodwill of people, and we don't have a huge voluntary base in terms of people who come and support us every day, every week to do stuff. So we have been training, and now the rules have started to relax. We've been able to train with contact, and we've had some pre-season matches, which has been good. But we've done a lot of exercises on Zoom throughout the whole time. Lots of keeping in touch together on Zoom. So it's really exciting because football's back, which is, most of us really needed that. Yeah, so much. We really needed it. So definitely an outlet for lots of people. An outlet for me always has been. And I think it's good for people to get back together. And we are definitely a family, so it's kind of not having half your body with you when you couldn't, you know, we couldn't be together. So it's good to kind of be back together and supporting each other. Of course, we're still minded and led by what happens in the Premier League. So we'll just have to kind of keep our eye on what happens with the government guidelines around potentially going back into lockdown or anything like that. But at the moment, we're really optimistic, really excited to actually be out there and playing again and doing the things we love doing, trying to get ourselves all fit again after plenty of eating and drinking inside the house.
3 months of lockdown goodies, like, you know, fitness levels are going to have to change now.
If I had wine, I wasn't worried about toilet paper. I was like, do they have wine? Yeah, they have wine. Okay, cool.
Oh, forget the toilet paper. Who needs that? Wine all the way. Oh my God. It's good to hear, like, it's encouraging that despite the lockdown, what you guys have done is been very active on social media. What I've seen about promoting the stuff that you're doing during lockdown with the teams, you know, and having those Zoom meetings and those keep in touch meetings and trying to find creative ways to keep in touch. And I think that was really amazing. So if anyone wants to check that out, I'll put the social media links with the video as well.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. There was a lot of Taskmaster, how many yellow things can you wear on your head type events. And we train on a Tuesday, Thursday, and we play on a Sunday. And every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the whole lockdown, we got together on Zoom, and you know, there was mixed attendance. Some people weren't in that space, and you know, maybe went home to family or whatever, weren't kind of in their normal space. But we still met, and we had a lot of fun, a lot of jokes. So it just kept us same, really, just kept us in good spirits when you're looking at the media and you're looking at what's out there. It was quite worrying, quite harrowing for a lot of people, and it, you know, created a lot of anxiety. So we also did have we were very lucky to get a couple of mindfulness sessions in. So we a particular organisation helped us and did some mindfulness sessions with my girls, and that was it was really useful, because I think not everybody's as open with how they're feeling about things, and it just gave them an opportunity to just take a moment to think, actually, how is this really impacting me mentally? I think the psychological side is something we're going to see, obviously working in the NHS, but certainly we're going to see the after effects of that for many, many years to come.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like the impact of the lockdown, you know, it's a once in a millennia event, like, and you know, we don't know what the lasting effects are going to be, but if we can do anything to prevent that by having those sessions, I think that's just amazing for people to just have that in their mind, that they're not alone, this is happening, these are the tools you can have to cope. I think just by promoting and showing that, you're already helping someone indirectly, even if you don't realize it. So I think that's really amazing, and I have been following and watching on Instagram and Twitter what you guys have been doing, the craziness. And one of the things that you've put up is that your head coach is returning.
Yeah, so we've got a brand new head coach. So he's new for us as a head coach. So we have appointed Bobby Cato. So he is former Derby County Ladies and Leicester Ladies head coach there. So they play a couple of divisions above us. He's got loads and loads of really incredible experience, and he's been a real godsend for me, because it means that there's less for me to think and worry about, and you know me, Vanessa, I do like to worry, so worry about everything. But yeah, so we were absolutely delighted. I've been speaking to him for just on and off for about 6 months, and you know, keeping in touch. You know, one of the things for me, so I'm passionate about women's football. And yes, you know, the reality is that there's rivalry. You know, people want to you want to do well, but what I don't want is for women and clubs to fail. You know, I want us to be able to play football at the highest possible level that they can. And I was speaking to Bobby. We've got a lot of similar values around embracing women's football, but also elevating it to levels that perhaps it hasn't got to in the past, and trying to be really positive icons in terms of voicing what it really feels like in women's football and the difficulties, but also really promoting the goals that we get and the players that we have and the people, the structure that's required to make it successful. So I've just been speaking to him for a long time, and we've just been keeping in touch. You know, how's it going with your team? How's it going with your team? And you know, we've had a mixed history. We've had some really big highs and some really low lows. And you know, he was checking in, making sure we were okay. And you know, I kept saying, oh, it'd really be great if you could come down to Haringey. So he was a former Haringey Borough player. He used to play at Haringey Borough men's team, family in London, in North London. So he's a lot of connection to the area and a really strong connection to the club. And so, you know, him coming back and agreeing to be our head coach is just really welcoming him home, and having somebody who really believes in the club and in the team and in our team in particular, and our ability to want to succeed, and put in some of the fundamental strategic decision making in there that perhaps, you know, I can't do whilst driving the minibus and taking the clothes to laundrette and doing everything else that I have to do. So it's just fantastic to give and to really trust that person's got the right experience and skills. And, you know, I am very blessed. I've had lots of people who've supported Haringey Borough throughout the seasons, and I still have a team of other coaches who support, but we really needed somebody who would have connections with women's football and at a high level, and understands kind of the pressures that are there, but also is able to bring it back to our girls in our games, in our division, and have that real credibility, but also that real sharing of values about what it is that we're trying to achieve. So it's great to have Bobby on board. I'm so happy.
It's a great time to be in Haringey, because, you know, for someone to return back to the borough and almost give back all that expertise that they've built across women's football, because obviously this is one of the questions that I'll get onto in a bit, but it hasn't had the shine as the men's football. We all know this, but what are the actions? What can we do to elevate the sport? And that's one of the things. Obviously, I support Arsenal, and obviously, automatically, you know, supporting Arsenal ladies is just an automatic thing. Like, as soon as you hear about what they're doing in the Women's Super League, you're like, come on Arsenal, we've got to beat Man City, you've got to beat Chelsea, you've got to beat all these guys that are coming in with money. Like, it doesn't matter about it. We've got the talent, you know. You're fully supportive, and that's one of the things I feel like we've been fortunate, because we both support Arsenal. We've seen that both clubs really bond and connect with each other, and making sure that the women's football is not too like trailing behind or anything. They get equal promotion, equal, you know, exposure as the men's team. But obviously in other areas, it's all of a sudden there's been a resurgence, but it's fallen by the wayside with most teams. So the Man City team's fairly new, Chelsea team's fairly new. Well, fairly new. They've been there or thereabouts, but they've injected more money into it. Whereas, you know, that connection, I feel like women's football's kind of trailed behind for some reason. But what I wanted to know is, even with that, you're starting to get the TV deals, and, you know, they're starting to promote, you know, the World Cup is now constantly on ITV, which is great. But has that had any influence on, you know, grassroots football? Like, you know, for your club, has there been any direct impact positively for the borough?
So it's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I think so. So first thing I've got to say, and it would be wrong if I didn't, is that I've been with Haringey for almost all of it, for Haringey Women for almost all of its existence. So like 19 years, it's been around 21. So I've been here for almost all of its existence. And we've always had full support from our board. So that's not that it's unusual, but it isn't always the case. You know, and a lot of clubs that are reliant on, you know, cup matches to bring income and play, you know, fans through the door, and Haringey Borough itself has really, over the last few years, really built its fan base. So, you know, it has actually there is a real dependence in some respects on the fans being there and the money generated through matches and success at different levels. And our men's team has done really well over the last few years, actually. So that's helped us further support the women's team. But it's never been a conversation with our chairman about whether we will exist again next year. So I'm really grateful for that, because it is very easy to say, well, you know, maybe haven't been successful these 2 seasons, we're just going to let the women's team go. And, you know, in some respects, we can be a bit of a burden on them. You know, we've got to share a pitch, we've got to share changing rooms, you know, the fixtures are incredibly complicated. We have our own ground, so you've got, you know, there could be income when we're playing matches, but they choose to let us play, you know. So I'm really, really grateful for that, and I think we're very fortunate in a lot of respects that we have the full support of our board. In terms of what's happened kind of more nationally and internationally around women's football, I think there has been impact, and it's fantastic to see. Like, I would never have seen, you know, female football players commentating on men's matches, important men's matches, you know. And now you can see the different individuals on there who are commentating, and it's just good. It's good to hear a different voice. It's good to hear a different opinion. You know, you may not like your pundit, but the fact that they're female and that they're actually experienced in the game gives the whole sport a real credibility. I still think we've got so far to go. And when it comes to like our level in football, I would personally say I don't think I felt any direct impact. I know that there are grants and some, you know, funding made available sometimes, but they're pretty hard to get around the red tape for some of those things, and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort. And it's not that you shouldn't apply for them. Of course you should apply for them, and a lot of teams rely on these funding sources to survive, and we do too. But we're very grateful for that, but it's still very small. And, you know, I'd be lying if I said that I find it easy to find sponsorship and support in that way from the bigger organisation. So locally, it's probably easier to try and attract some traction, but in the wider scope where you're looking at, you know, BT Sport or other big organisations really funding women's football, I don't feel that particularly trickles down to divisions that we're in, and we're like semi-pro, so we're not like a low division. Not that that's a bad thing, because, you know, doesn't matter what your level is. It's more about the fact that I think we've still got a long way to go. And even in cup matches, you know, if we get through to a decent cup round, we still will get a very small amount of money in through that cup, where it would be in the thousands for the men, it will be, if you're lucky, in the hundreds for the women. And you know, so it's
there's still a lot of work
so far. And I mean, I've been around for a very long time. So we've come a long way, and yet we still have so far to go. And I certainly don't think it will be where I want it to be in my lifetime. But I'm hoping that in the girls that play in my team, they may see some of that by the time they're my age. So I think it's always really positive. The women's football show is a great thing to watch. I always record it, partly because it's on really late. And if you've got to get up for work, so it's that sort of thing, you know. Yes, it's on, but it's on at 11 after the match of the day when I've normally fallen asleep. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of that's why I record it, and I watch it I used to watch it on the train. You know, can watch it at another day. So I think there are moves being made, and it's great progress, but I'd say we've still got far to go, and I think we need to be honest and say that it isn't enough yet, you know.
100%. Like, and it's kind of like, what are the actions? I mean, as a business owner, you know, and also local businesses, what can they do to help, you know, fund and support, you know, local teams as well? Because obviously in both aspects, as a small business, you want to thrive, but also you want to see people around you thrive, because then that also elevates what you've got. So one of the questions I do have is, what can local businesses do to, you know, help not just your club, but clubs in general at that semi-pro level? What can they do to help? Like, is there fundraisers? Is there just donation schemes? What kind of activities can they help and jump in with? Because a lot of business owners could be watching this and thinking, how can we help?
Yeah, so I guess there are lots of different things. We have like sponsorship packages that we've put together, which it will depend on their, you know, the organisation's financial situation. And you know, we're all struggling with COVID now. You know, that it's had a massive impact on the economy, and you know, I completely understand that businesses are trying to recoup income lost, you know, essentially, and put food on their own table. So, you know, I don't take anything away from that. But what I would say is, in order for us to both thrive and survive and be successful moving forward, it's just to get involved. So we have sponsorship packages which, you know, platinum down to silver and gold and bronze. So we have lots of different amounts that are available, and you get different things for whatever you pay. You know, the more you pay, the more I can give you. We have a ground, so we have a beautiful 3G pitch on White Hart Lane in Tottenham, and we know we can put banners on which come at a price, but they can be around, and that will be at any match that's played at Haringey Borough. So not only does Haringey Borough play there, men and women's teams, we have a whole multitude of other teams that do hire our pitch and play their matches. So there's there's opportunity for your business to be given additional exposure. You know, our sponsorship for our players costs £99, so I get every penny counts, but it's not a lot. We're not asking for a lot, and all we do is that is our running costs. It puts diesel in my tank when I'm taking the girls down to our first league match, which is in St Ives, which is, you know, 2 hours away. So yeah, because with the region we play in, a lot of our matches aren't very close. So it's really just basics for us to be to keep going. I'd love to say that we're in it to make a profit, but that's not where our heart is. Our values aren't there. Our values are about promoting women in football and making them as successful as they can. The last thing I want to do is my players to worry about getting to training, they can't afford it, or, you know, and we support our players in lots of ways. So if you're a business, you don't even have to be a business that's got something to promote. You could be a business that does physiotherapy. You could help our players with their rehab. You could be a business that does stuff around mindfulness, and you could do some sessions with our players. That's a resource that you could give to us that wouldn't necessarily come out of your pocket. We have players who are looking for jobs. They've lost their jobs. They've been furloughed, whatever. If you've got opportunities available locally that they could work for you, there's an opportunity there. So I think there are a whole range of things that we could do to help each other thrive. We have lots of social media platforms as well. So anyone that does work and collaborate with us, we are more than willing to share, and spread the news of their business. If you've got a new menu in your restaurant, if you've got, I don't know, a special event night that you're doing, anything like that, your podcast, Vanessa, if you're saying, look, I've got a really good podcast about, I don't know, starting your own business, this is my journey, we would put that out. We don't have, it's not about only our self-promotion, it's about that mutual respect and wish for people to be successful. So there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved, and if you contact us on any of our social media platforms, it'll be me, but we will I'll respond, and we can see what's possible. Ultimately, I'm not going to lie, we need funding. That's, I want my girls to have tracksuits. I want my girls to have a new kit every season. We don't get that. We are lucky that our club have funded us previously. We haven't got a kit sponsor for this year. We haven't got other things, but we've got each other. We've got commitment to the game, and we've got what we need to be successful. But if we can work with others to help to take us to that next step, if you know someone who's a photographer, they can come and do some work with us. Someone who's in film, they can come and do some film stuff with us on match days or something. So there are tons of opportunities there. And my kind of longer term plan is to have a whole academy of development teams. So you start at college and go for younger school, because I would have stopped playing football had I not restarted again in college, but it was very easy for me to just stop, and I'm talking 30 years ago, so it was a long time ago. I would like to have that whole system of development all the way through, but at the moment we haven't got capacity for it within the existing coaching team, but over the next 5 years I'd like to have a whole development team that goes all the way through into our into our first team.
No, definitely. I like the fact that I'm glad that you said that it's not just the financials. You're happy for if people dedicate their time and resources just to help. It's mutually helping each other, but also to help the team. And I'm gutted that you haven't even got a kit sponsor. I feel like messaging Pro Direct right now and saying, hold on a minute,
do it.
you're missing a trick here, especially with women's football, and you should start with Haringey Borough Women FC. Like, this is ridiculous. You should have a kit sponsor, especially as you're semi-pro as well. Wow. That is a
tracksuit sponsor and a speeding kit sponsor. There's plenty of opportunities.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. That's ridiculous. Like, no, it just goes to show the disparity there is in the football, and it makes me question the FA a lot. Obviously, I'm going to tread lightly here, but in terms of they're trying to elevate the sport, but then as you go further down the division, it becomes even more ridiculous. So, like, in the sense of you're not getting near enough funding. No, there's grants are wishy-washy, not as much exposure. So how are you going to build a system if you're starting from ground zero or even level 2? You can't jump from the women's game. You can't go from Haringey to Derby because there's such a big jump, or you can't go from Derby to Arsenal ladies or Arsenal women's. The ladies or women's now?
I think it's ladies. I don't know.
I know they changed the name, and I was like, huh?
They did, yeah.
But the jump is so big that some people were almost put off because there isn't a clear system. There isn't and so much uncertainty, and especially if there's players that don't have jobs that are still coming to the football, to train, to still participate, even though their own, personal finances are uncertain. It's a testament to them on their dedication, and that's amazing. But we need to do a lot more to help, encourage people and encourage, especially the ladies, to continue what they love, but also be able to be financially independent and still be able to do their daily lives and, work and still live. So FA needs to do better. Straight away.
I might stay quiet.
I think that's a safe bet.
I would say that there needs more needs to be done. We always, as a club, hold a little bit of side to help players if they're financially struggling, because one of my strongest values is finance shouldn't be a barrier to participation. It just should not be. You know, you should be able to be successful without having those connections and the network and the money and the parents who might take you to every game. And I'm not trying to say we haven't got people who come from really good families or who are supportive. It's not even that. It's really diverse in my team, but it just should never be a barrier. Like, that kills me to think that you can't come because you haven't got the money to come, you know. And I've been known to just pay for it myself and say, right, I'll get you an Uber, or, you know. And is it right? You know, probably not, but, you know, for me there's a bigger game. You know, we're playing a bigger game, and that's that one of life. So, you know, all you need is someone to give you that help sometimes, and if that person shows you that support, you know, one day I'd hope to think that people I've helped will go, I'll help someone who needs me. So, you know, we're lucky we've been able to kind of try and hold a little bit of funds aside, but where that's not been the case, I'll do it. It's not even a second thought for me, because my players are more their well-being, and them being able to come and actually just do what they do on a football pitch is more important. You know, more important than it is a release. It was always my release as a young person. So, you know, I feel where they're coming from when it comes to things like that.
No, it's good, and you mentioned it again. It's that support and that willingness to support, like, regardless, because I am a heavy advocate of having whether it's on the side or in front of you, some outlet that you're passionate about, and sticking with it and doing it. So mine's art, so going to art classes and stuff like that, you know, that's my outlet to relieve my stress. Like, you know, if football's your passion and you want to do it not just professionally, but also you want to do it on the side to relieve that stress, then why not? You should be encouraged to do that, because at the end of the day, we only have one life to live. So
100%,
you got to live it to your fullest. And I feel so passionately that even me myself, if there's anything I can do to help the football club, I will do. You know, I'll message you and I'll put forward something. But no, just hearing like that these are the reality for some people, that they can't even sometimes afford to even get to games and stuff like that, or even turn up to training because they're, you know, worrying about their own personal circumstances, is that really does.
They've got to choose work. You know, I can't come because I've got to work. How can I tell you don't go to work? You know, it's really hard, you know, but our expectation is here. You know, I want players who are going to come and train, be their best, have the right attitude, you know, come with the right intentions, and I need that commitment. But then they say, well, you know, I can work, or you can't ask, you know, I've got someone who actually at the moment works in the NHS, and so her shifts are ridiculous, so she can't get to train at the moment. You know, do you tell that person, no, I don't want you part of the team? No, you don't. But you are honest and say, listen, opportunity for you to be selected for a game is going to be quite low, you know, because we're not seeing you, and you're not keeping fit, and you're not, you know, not learning strategies we're teaching or any of that sort of stuff. And it's not personal, it's really not personal, but you have to, I think you have to just understand that each person in the team is very, like managing any team, each person is different. You treat them the same but differently, but individually, should I say. You treat them the same but individually. So you understand that their circumstances. And I mean, I guess one of my things is knowing my players. I need to know them. What ticks them off? What's their home situation? Where do they travel from? You know, so I've got 3 or 4 players who are looking for jobs at the moment, and you know, we're trying to use our networks. Bobby and I are like, who do we know that might be recruiting, or, you know, giving them advice on what to do. You know, my dad would have given me my CV and I'd have gone walking around every shop until I got something. But you know, it isn't always as easy for everyone, and some people are struggling coming out of lockdown. You know, it's quite hard for some people, and I've got a couple in my team who are a bit nervous about that, or they're shielding for their families. So, you know, we've got to get on and have this season, but you know, there's a lot of other things to take into consideration, more so than ever because of COVID. So
it's just one of those things. Like you said earlier, like, who would have thought 6 months ago that we would be going through something like this? It's
100%,
so unprecedented, and the effects, like, I don't think people realize it's not just, you know, the jobs and the mental health, but also it's people's motivations. Now they're questioning what they do, how they do, and obviously what they would have started out as originally. Like they might have had a really good job, but then actually, as COVID's kicked in, they've realised actually doing a 2-hour commute is just not for me. And also, family's starting to come first now. Like,
yeah,
I think the mentality of Britain's kind of changed because of the lockdown. It's actually, I need to put my family first, even if it means I might have to sacrifice the job that I had and change it to make it more adaptable. A lot of people are willing to do that now, whereas before it was all about work and not about, you know, health and well-being and being at home with your family. So
yeah,
I fully, like, I hope, fingers crossed and touch wood, in the next couple of weeks, the people that are unemployed will get roles that are suitable for them and that they feel they're back on track.
yeah.
But on a more lighter note, it'd be good to know if anyone wants to be involved, you know, go through a little trial, you know, show their skills, mini Pelés and mini CR7s, you know, what can they do? How do they get involved with the game?
Okay, so obviously I'd say if you want to play football, come and join Haringey Borough, because that's nothing. Hit us up on any of our social media. So we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We've also got Snapchat, but I leave that for the younger people. So Instagram is HBWFC, so Haringey Borough Women FC. Twitter is HBWFC1, and so is our Facebook. So we're on all the platforms. If you send us a direct message on there, happy to respond. Otherwise, you can email me at haringeyboroughwfc@gmail.com. But I'm sure, Vanessa, you'll put our links on there anyway. We are having trials at the moment, which we're running as part of our training sessions. What I would say is come with your mind right. You know, my ambition is, you can't see it, it's so high. So, you know, and it doesn't stop. Like, doesn't matter how older I get, the more I want us to be successful. You know, I don't always get what I ask for, but I always try to get it. So if you think you're that person, and it's not even a big-headed thing, I'm not even like that, I'm not even on that one. If you think you can come and give what you can give, you know, everybody's got their levels. My level is my level and your level is your level. And if you are at a higher level, I'll be the first to tell you, go play at a higher league, because I want you to be successful. I'm not going to hold you in my team and keep you down. The same way I'm also not going to make false promises and keep you on a bench all season and not play you. Exactly. So I will, you know, I want you to be successful. It's not my intention for people to come and be unhappy. And, you know, you will get 100% from me. So I need 100% from you. So Tuesday and Thursdays we train, and Sundays we play our matches. We expect players to come with that commitment. I understand it's difficult. Sometimes you have to chat with your boss and say, listen, I need to leave a little bit earlier on a Thursday or on a Tuesday. You know, you need to do that, because I will do that. So exactly. I'm giving you the same time and attention. And in between those days, we're always doing stuff like HewCast today, or talking to other people who might be able to help us, or that we can help. So, you know, if you think you're ready for that commitment, we play in the Eastern Region Premier Division. It's a good level of football. You will get a tough game. None of our teams are you know, easy teams. No, every team deserves their place in our league, and, you know, above and below, you know. So come with that attitude, come with that belief in yourself. We will boost you, we will give you the confidence, but you've got to come and show us that, you know, you deserve to put that shirt on with that logo on, you know. And you've got to fight for that. Yeah, you've got to come with that passion and that desire and that commitment, that work rate. You know, believe me, it doesn't matter if you're Neymar. If you ain't got the right attitude, you ain't getting into the team, and that's it. You know, so it's just it's one of those things.
Talking about attitude, I'm just going to sidestep, but to have a little bit of football talk, because you talked about attitude. What's your take on the Matteo Guendouzi situation at Arsenal? Because obviously there is a questionable situation about attitude and commitment to the team, and he's been clearly left out on his own. What do you think has happened there? What do you think? Can he come back from this?
Well, I think it's hard to speculate, isn't it? Because no one really. I always say, you never know what happens when you close your front door, you know.
True.
You might think, oh, Carla comes from a really good home, and then it could be really awful. Who knows? You just don't ever know. I mean, I come from a good home, by the way, so don't worry. I'm really, really blessed, but it's not always been easy, right? So I think, you know, when you're a leader, okay, you have a certain expectation. So clearly, Arteta's come in with a particular mindset, okay? He's very clear about what his expectations are, and not everybody will meet your expectations. Sometimes, somebody told me this a long time ago, and I was really disappointed by people's response to something I asked for. And somebody said that sometimes, Carla, that your floor is their ceiling. Okay, and I'm not going to say anything about Guendouzi because I don't know him and I don't know Arteta either. Although if they want to come and sponsor us, I'm here, you know. But hit me up. But I feel like, you know, if he set out his stall and this is how he wants his team to be, that's his job. Yeah. So get with that program, and if you don't like that program, then you're going to sit on the bench or not going to get picked. And I feel sorry for him because I like him as a player. I don't know him as an individual, as a human being, but I know him as a player, and I think he's a good player. I think he does add value, and he's certainly he's given us what his best when he's played for us in previous seasons and the previous games. So, you know, I personally I don't know what the deal is there, but I kind of feel like if people don't, I think it's really difficult to tweak your leadership because of individuals. If you're really clear about what you think you want and you are clear about what your expectations are, and people choose to defy you, whether it be Ozil, whether it be Guendouzi, whether it be someone else who's getting dropped because, you know, he's got big score. I haven't got that luxury. I haven't got, do I choose Ozil or do I choose Guendouzi? But yeah, but I do have good players, and we do have to make decisions about who we think is the right person in the right team. And luckily Bobby has to do that, so that's not my headache. But it's difficult, and you know, people talk to you. So I don't know, maybe Guendouzi's going through some stuff. Maybe he's not talked to Arteta and said, you know, a lot of they're players, they're away from their families and their homes. They're young, you know, we forget how young they are. I don't know what I would have been like if I was 19 or whatever, playing at that kind of level. I remember Theo Walcott coming in so young and thinking, my goodness, and he was English. So what happens if you come from another country and all your family and your support base isn't here? I'm not making any excuses for him, but you know, they're young and you're stupid when you're young. You make mistakes, and you'll make mistakes your whole life, but you make mistakes. And I don't know whether maybe Arteta is just stubborn and or maybe he feels like he's gone too far. I don't know, but I feel like you have to be strong with your principles as a leader. You have to lead by example, and maybe he's scapegoating a little bit. I don't know, but I think, you know, if he said the line is like this and Guendouzi wants to go like that, then it is what it is, you know. And, you know, fortunately, Vanessa, they have a luxury of still being paid really well. He's still got a long career ahead of him. He's still got plenty of years to be successful at a really high level. So, you know, he's not like he is down in a low level football club and now he doesn't think he'll ever play football again. I mean, he's still got a really good opportunity to turn it around for himself in his career. And it's up to his support network, his agent, the people at Arsenal, because they have a responsibility to look after him, irrespective of what management decisions are, and his own family, to make sure that he makes the right decision that's right for him next. And it's quite simple, really. It's just a lot more money involved.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think you touched on a really good point about leadership, because as a manager, regardless of whether it's a football context or even in a corporate context or where you work, you've come in to manage a team and you have certain principles. And obviously, again, like you said about this, you know, your ceiling, your floor might be someone else's ceiling, and it's managing that expectation and managing these multiple different personalities. I mean, I guess we're under no illusion that Arteta had a massive job coming into it. Yes. So you expect some hustle and bustle and some disgruntled people, but to the extent where, you know, you're at FA Cup final and, you know, not even your whole squad is there to cheer the team, it raises a lot of questions, because obviously as a manager you want to be as inclusive as possible and you want to show that, you know, yes, you have your principles, but at the end of the day we're still a team. I just felt as a supporter I felt a little a type of way. Not being there, I felt that obviously this has to be more than what you know, the little inklings we're getting, because regardless of, you know, if you have a player on the bench, Carla, like I would expect them, even if they're on the bench, that they'll be sitting there cheering their team on and have that same commitment, because that could be them next week, and they would want that same commitment from whoever's on the bench for them.
Yes.
You know, and that's also why I kind of brought it up, because as a leader, you want to see everyone grouped together, and he's made it quite clear from his social media actions that he's not really riding or being passionate for the game or being supportive, and really disruptive to a team who's fighting for their life, who's chasing for a cup that we did win. Thank you, Aubameyang. But you know.
You're frozen.
You always have that one person that is just, you know, doesn't like new leadership, but then at the same time isn't supporting at all, who's not even wanting to contribute. I find it really weird, because I'm a passionate person. Regardless of if I'm not there, I want to support you. No matter if I'm not physically there, I'll be on social media like, yes, oh, come on, yeah, come on. They're like, you know, giving them that energy to elevate them. So I found that really, really weird.
I think, who really knows what's going on? I think sometimes it's quite childish behaviour, really. I think that's gone on, and I think it's disappointing, because that is the level that we're all aiming for, really, you know. So I think, you know, he's got a responsibility to his teammates. It doesn't matter if you don't like the manager. I mean, we've all worked or been in places where you don't like your leadership, okay? And I don't mean it in a negative way. You know, I don't mean it. They're not. Maybe they're horrible people, but maybe they're not. Okay, it just doesn't work for you. Okay, and maybe they didn't like you. Maybe they thought you were awful as a member of staff or whatever. But I feel like there's so much more you can get out of being part of a team than there is as being the person who's going to be the difficult one. I think it takes more energy to be like that. Exactly. And, you know, you're absolutely right. I think it's disappointing because he's so young. I part of me, just maybe because I'm a bit too old now, I just go, oh my God, he's so young and immature, and he just needs to, you know, he just needs to get a bit of a grip and have. Maybe he's not getting the right advice. You know, there's a lot of successful sports people in the past that who just had the wrong advice around them, the wrong people around them, and I'd like to think that that's the situation, rather than that he's just decided to be really quite malicious, really, with the kind of things that he's doing. Yeah, his behaviour's been. And I think it doesn't make him any better. It doesn't make Arteta go, oh, I'll choose you now.
No,
it
makes
spiteful, and it's just. I think it's not nice if you got someone in your team who you think is rooting for you to lose, or not to do well. It's that kind of bitterness that's not really good. And I mean, like I say, I don't know. I really don't know the situation. Maybe the whole team has turned on him. I don't know, but I just think. He's not really getting anywhere right now, is it? So he's not serving himself. So no, I guess he just needs to get himself back on plan and work out what he wants for his career, because other managers will be like, he's difficult. You know, there are plenty of players who are successful but are known to be difficult, and that means they're not wanted by everybody. And you've got to be flipping great for big teams to come for you if they already think you're a bit of a problem.
Exactly. I mean, we all know the story of Mario Balotelli.
Right. Yeah, even Costa, Ibrahimovic, they're all fantastic players, but they're known to be a little bit more difficult to manage, you know. So
exactly.
Just, you know, and Balotelli was definitely one. I mean, he's a great example, wasn't he?
He's a poster boy for this kind of thing, like, and that's why he, like you said, like Guendouzi's a great, as a player and watching him, great talent. He has all the potential of the world, but I feel like it's things like this that kind of overshadow someone's talent, and that's one of the things I kind of wanted to bring it back to is, if you're willing to join any football club, like you said, it's about that mentality and that passion and that drive. And if you act, you can see for yourself, if you act the way that Guendouzi is acting, he might not get that big move, because they might be put off because of that. You know, attitude, regardless of what's happened, whether it's big or small. There's a level of professionalism, and I think if you want to go to those big leagues, you've got to be professional. I mean, if you want to be a Messi, a Neymar, even Mbappe, or, you know, let's even go down to to Jordan Sancho. If you want to be playing at, you know, the top of the top leagues, then you've got to have an air of professionalism.
Yes.
So yeah,
I agree, and I think I don't probably in our Division 2 in terms of people, you know, I think the key is having a bit of humility about you. Just be a little bit humble. You know, the players who are, in my opinion, the truly great players are those who, when it's all said and done, they've done their business on the pitch. They're nice individual people. They care about their teammates. They want everyone to be successful. It's not just about them. And you know, it's the joy of playing football that brings them there, rather than do you know who I am type attitude. And that's where the money distorts it a lot, you know, because, you know, a lot of previous footballers never had that luxury, because they, you know, you'd find that they're still doing punditry because they didn't earn the money that people are earning. Whereas, and I know, I get it, they've got a relatively short career, you know, so they should earn as much as they can. But, you know, that's a whole other question, I think. Someone in the kitchen. Yeah,
I'm like, oh, this is a great timing, you know. But no, like, that is definitely another question to have probably at a later date in the future.
Yeah.
But
with wine.
With wine. Oh gosh, yeah. Red or white?
Oh no, rosé, darling.
Rosé. Oh,
I'm a weakling.
Rosé.
I give it all the big one, but I've played football my whole life. I don't drink. I don't really drink. I like a glass of wine with some food, but I am the one who's like, oh, I feel a bit warm now after one. So, bit of gin, maybe gin. I've got into gin recently.
Gin. Well, I do love my elderflower gin. Yeah. So yeah, no.
We digress.
We definitely digress. Lastly, before we go, just a quick one about, you know, what's your plans over the next 3 months, and strategic wise, what do you hope to see the football club? Where do you see it going? And, you know.
So I think so my kind of, I guess the season's probably about 10 months long, so essentially I'd like us to have a good strong start in our season. I'd quite like us to have a good couple of cup games. So the FA Cup starts on the 6th of September. I don't think we start that week because of the division we play in, but I could be wrong. But I think we don't. I think we get a bye in that round because they've got an extra preliminary round this year. And our season starts on the 13th of September. So possibly the 20th we could have a FA Cup game, or not. We could even get a bye for that round too. So I'd like to see, you know, a good cup game. I'd like to see a good strong start to the season. I'd like to really see my players come into their own now and really own their place. Like, you know, I came to Haringey and there was a squad already formed. You know, I had to wait a long time to get my call up, and when I did, they couldn't drop me after. And then 13 years later, I was captaining it. And, you know, it's just like, you know, I was captain for 13 years. So, you know, when you just kind of, I want my girls to really show that they deserve their place in this team and go and show how good they are. They don't always do that consistently in a match. Sometimes you see the result and you think, well, that team could have been very good. But actually, they play really well. We just need to do that consistently. And we need to not drop our heads, you know, believe in ourselves a bit more. So I'd like to see a really strong start. I'd like to see a few more people join the team. This year we're starting, we're having 2 squads. We're having a first team and we're having a Haringey 11 for players who need a little bit more attention in terms of strategy. Some players, I've got players who've never played 11-side football before coming to me, who've got ability, but, you know, they haven't played at the level that we play at, and it would be unfair to maybe throw them into a really hard match against an experienced side. Yeah. So it's about just, you know, getting those players ready. Really, they should be pushing for first team football. So getting those girls into a squad and creating that space for them to really thrive as a reserve stroke development type side. And we've got quite a few young players as well, so kind of bringing them, easing them into women's football. And then our first team starting off well and starting off strong. I'd like to see that we get our sponsors in, and, you know, I'd like to think in 3 months I worry less about finance. But it might be, you know, it hasn't happened previously, so let's see. Always optimistic, Vanessa, you know me. So I'd like to see that we get a couple of good sponsors in, like bigger sponsors that kind of help us to just give us a little bit of security, just to keep us focused on football rather than some of the other things that make it happen, the mechanics of keeping the team going. I've got a few girls who've gone off to America, so I'd like to see how they get on. I'd like to keep in touch with them, and I'd love to promote what they're doing and seeing their success, because I love seeing other people do really well. And I'd like to start putting some plans into place around the wider support that we provide our players. So we are looking at, is there health packages we could offer our players? Is there psychological support we could offer our players? Really making good connections with other organisations to provide that. I'd like to do more for women in football and women in general. So, maybe holding a couple of events. Gosh, only 3 months, isn't it? You can't see. But have maybe 1 or 2 events at the club, if we're allowed under, current restrictions, to promote women in football and women in general being successful in maybe areas that perhaps don't get as much light, and just really kind of getting our infrastructure really set and in place so that we can really go into the last 7 months of the season with football on our mind solely, rather than all the other things that make it happen. And lockdown's kind of delayed our ability to have been able to push some of that forward. But I'm really excited about what's to come, and always, if you know me, I'm always optimistic, even when you think, really, I'm really optimistic. So I'll always be really kind of like batting the positivity forward and taking the scrapes and bumps on the road as they come, and just trying to make sure that my girls are well and they're successful in what they do, and that we help them to be good human beings, so help them get a job, help them if they've got issues with childcare, all of those sorts of things are issues. Childcare maybe not for their own children, like for their sisters and brothers who they might live with, or if they want to move out, getting them some advice, helping them start their own business, whatever they need to do. If I can help them, then mentors, all that sort of stuff. I'm really up for all of that. So
great. I mean, that is an ambitious 3 months. But
we've worked together, me.
Yeah. But I know Carla will achieve. She'll do as much as she can, and I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you and the girls to do well. And you always got my support. If you need anything, I'm here. Definitely. Just conscious of the time, I am going to wrap it up here. But thanks for joining me, Carla. It's been a pleasure to get an hour of your busy schedule. And if you like what you heard, and if you like what we have to say, I'll put the social media links below. But this has been HewCast, and thank you, Carla.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks. Take care, Vanessa.
Take care.